Hey YouTubers, thanks for coming back. Tonight we are actually going to be talking about my eFX Darth Vader helmet, the PCR version, and going over details on the helmet itself, some close-ups and look-arounds, and talking about the repaint job that I did to it in some extensive detail here. Excuse me. So I have it separated like this just because I'm going to go over it in two parts, and then we'll go over it as one so you can see everything as it is. But just having it in view, just kind of getting an idea, warming up to it. The basics of the helmet when I got it, if anybody's familiar with these helmets at this point, the lineage to them, first of all, is a direct lineage off of a mold that was made from the original screen used helmet, and they made a casting off of that mold for the Lucasfilm promotional archives or promotional events back in the day, and from that casting, the helmet they made off of those molds was the same molds that eFX was granted access to make the PCR, or to make their helmet. I mean, they've got three versions of the helmet out there. They've got the Legend, which is fiberglass and full hand-painted paint job with some of the extra detailing and things like that. Looks pretty good. I would not hesitate to get one if I could get my hands on one. And then they made a limited version, which again was fiberglass. It's basically the same helmet as the Legend, but the paint job was more cleaned up and doesn't have any damages or anything like that. And it's not hand painted. It's just a evenly and better looking spray painted. So an idealized paint job, but still the correct two-tone coloring. And then this one, which is the PCR, the precision cast replica version, made out of ABS plastic. And I have not put these in next to each other, but I've seen other YouTubers who have notated it and talked about it, that the from even a close distance, the PCR and the limited, because of the paint job, the limited fiberglass version and the PCR are almost identical looking. You can't tell them apart cosmetically. They look, the PCR version actually was that good. And from having the PCR version and knowing enough of what I know of the regular versions and what things are supposed to look like, I don't doubt it, because the PCR version is, as I have here, on its own was spectacular. But it was what it was in the paint job, which I talk about all the time, that the paint job just needed something, and it had a two-tone paint job. That wasn't the problem, but it was just everything was very evenly done and very clean looking, which we know, at least in the a New Hope Vader helmet, which this is cast off of, is not clean at all. The thing is just beat up. Again, I reference the 4Ks of the films because they are just amazing references at this point. And they show every speck, every scratch, every dust. I mean, just everything's on these, and I love it. It's amazing that you get to see that stuff now. But you see it now, and you can't unsee it once you see it, and that's just how I am. So, in the being in the swing of things after having done my Black Series conversions from my Boba Fett Black Series, my Stormtrooper Black Series, I had kind of warmed up a bit and said, I'm going to go and we're just going to paint up Vader, because I'm not really worried about the collectability of this piece as far as turning around and making money off of it. The price point that I got it for was a steal, Pop Culture in Australia, an online collectibles distributor had a an inventory of some of them, and they were just dumping them off for nothing. I think it was out the door, including tax and everything else. Getting to my house was $300 something. It was not. It was ridiculous. I could not say no to it. I wanted a limited or a legend one, and when I heard about the PCRs and how good they were, I just, even if they weren't even close, I had to jump on it, and I not regret it at all. I would have paid $500 for this if that was what it was, but they're that good. They're that good. I mean, I really can't say enough about how good the PCR Vader is. But there's things about it too that aren't perfect, and we'll look at that. So getting to that, it needed a paint job, and I held off on it for a while, but I eventually hunkered down and did it. Got myself two. I had to get two because it was a lot. Two bottles of Tamiya gunmetal, and I mean not any particular type of gun, just their standard gunmetal, and their semi-gloss black, which I know Vader's not a matte finish or a satin finish. There is some gloss to it, but it's not a full gloss. So the semi-gloss black actually looks really good, especially after you give it a really light sanding down with a 1,000 grit sandpaper with a soft backing, just to kind of take the slight edge off of it. It looks perfect. We'll get to that in a second though. So yeah, extensive researching, as always. Online forums, the Sith Lord Detachment site, Replica Prop Forum. Some people have talked about things on the dented helmet, but Sith Lord Detachment and Replica Prop Forum, the RPF forums, were very valuable in assisting me in getting information on and examples of other people's paint jobs and how to do them and so forth. I mean, I did have a little bit of experience. I forgot to add earlier. My Black Series Vader that I did, that I painted up, which wasn't to make it look perfect on screen. It was just a very idealized paint job, just going over it and painting it proper. It didn't have a two-tone paint job. It didn't look anywhere near it should have. So I had a little bit of muscle memory from where to tape things off and how to go about the accents and the contours on the Vader's face and things like that. But anyway, coming back forward here. I decided to jump into this though, and that was the only two colors I really needed. Well, I did use Tamiya's aluminum color for repainting Vader's nose piece, but other than that, I didn't need anything other than those colors. It was a simple paint job in the coloring. But the only things that I taped off were the back, the backs of the sides where the tubes come down from the back, just to make sure that I didn't booger it up into the tubes and have to just paint more than I had to paint, and just give myself a straight line, especially on the left side of the helmet, which I'll show you here in a minute. Everything else literally was by hand. Most of the time just holding the thing in my arms and painting it with a brush, and going over that. One of the other things about the helmet though that I did like, and I was very surprised that the PCR version was really able to maintain, was, and hopefully we'll be able to see it, people have talked about it, is the asymmetry of the helmet is definitely there. The surface area, especially of the dome, is very inconsistent. It has a lot of texture and detail on the dome itself, which is there for real on the real one. The strap over the top of the helmet is a little cut and stamped looking, as opposed to the molding, or as opposed to the one that looks on the real helmet. When I'm starting to deal with structural changes that would need to be made, I didn't want to go there if I didn't have to. I didn't want to start breaking this thing apart I just wanted to make it look as good as I can. So, you know, a little bit of filling things in, you know, helped a bit. But, you know, for the most part, I just let it was fine the way it is. But I did have to add some physical dings and cuts and bumps and damages that weren't there. And I really had to be specific about that, really up close. Again, all by hand, some Dremel work, not much. A lot of it was just with a flathead screwdriver, just kind of gouging things out where I needed them. And you know, and it worked. So I'm going to now. The only reason I'm on this view right now is I have to get both of them in perspective. So I'm going to change the view so I can get up a little bit closer. But that will, other than what's directly in front of me, it may kind of look like the things on the outside might have a little bit more of a skewed angle to them. So let me see if I can change. Well, it's not letting me change that. Well, can I get in? Yeah, I guess I can get in. So we'll move him forward a little bit. Actually, I need to zoom out if I'm going to do that. Okay, so I'll have to get up and kind of get in frame to do some of this too, I suppose. And the stand, by the way, is my custom stand that I made for the helmet. Vader needs customization, right? Yeah, okay. So, all right, so let's get over and get this. I will put the face, well, I'm going to bring the helmet up. Yeah, let's see how that looks here. You can see. Actually, you know what I'm going to do? I'm just going to pick you up and take you with me. And do that. All right, so as you can see, if I go over the dome, there's some scratches and stuff that were there that I just kind of like in slightly sanding it. I didn't mind happen, but you can see over the surface area the denting and the lobing that occur. And most of the work that I had to do to it was up here. You can see where I added some silver damaged speckles and some denting, actual physical denting right in there. Added some extra globs of paint up and down the seam of the helmet, which he has in the, I don't know how well you can see it there, but it's in there. And down along the way of the rim, there are some details of paint speckling and you know, some scuffing damage that was in the film. And if you can see the underside, it might be getting in the way of the light of it. The underside of the helmet I sprayed with textured black paint to simulate, you know, if it were to be cast out of fiberglass. I don't know how well that's coming across on the screen, but it doesn't look like it's all that. Fortunately, you might be able to see some of it. Yeah, there's some texture there. You can see that. You know, just doing what I could to kind of get the dome, you know, up to a point. And, you know, continued down along the line in the back. It wasn't really that I could find any references on damage on the back of the helmet, so I didn't really do anything that I didn't know was supposed to be there. But I can only assume he may have had it, but I don't know. So some things you just leave alone. But then what I did is, even though he's got a black helmet, and it was shinier than it should be, just used a Tamiya again, the black wash liquid, and put it on a cotton pad and just wiped it across the entire surface of the helmet, and then kind of wiped it off, which leaves just a little bit behind, just to kind of take some of the excess shine off, so it doesn't look like it's just plastic. It looks like there's something there. Kind of move him back. So I'm going to change positions here and get the face down and positioned, and we'll talk about that. One moment. Okay, everybody, thanks for waiting while I got everything together. All right, so here's the face part of the helmet. So we'll just kind of get up close a little bit, and well, we've talked enough about lineage and things, but we'll, a couple things I want to add to this. The helmet itself, as I just kind of go around it, is again, asymmetrical, where it kind of has this, lean. As you can see to it, it leans a little bit to its left, and that's just part of the neck flange and just the way the helmet was originally cast. I mean, it is what it is. But when it's on your head and it's on your or on a stand, it's hanging straight. It's just that because of the neck flange being the way it is, and that's it. I'm not messing with it. The other couple of things that that I had to go in and do, really, there were some details like up here on the cheek. There's some detailing there that I actually had to go in and physically do by hand. There's a little scuffing that was apparent on some views of the film, again on 4K. Over here, the nose area where there's some scratches and some denting and dinging, some black flaked or some flaked silver revealing black underneath around the nose piece, and some just very very quickly and dirty painted helmet. And over here, we have the infamous sea scar section and the detailing around it. And I wanted to get in some of the brush stroke of the hand painted black and some of the brush stroking of the chrome or the gunmetal. Little things like here, there's a little line of black. If you look real close on the real helmet, you see a little line of black kind of comes up over the chrome or the gunmetal. I keep saying chrome, over the gunmetal. And I had to really, I didn't have to, but when I saw that, I just can't not add those things in. Little specks of silver where they should be. Here's a good view of it. Little damages around the frown area, especially in the teeth of it. I had to gouge a lot of that stuff up as best I could, the way it looked, and I could tell on screen. Some of the missing paint on the frame or the mesh in the inside. Little just randomized specks of silver or aluminum detail emulating flaking away from the surface. Around to the tusk areas, this was kind of a challenge to kind of get this to look the right way, because it wasn't just a matter of painting it and where these tusks come together. The real helmet has this multiple layered dirt flaking kind of damage look that to have to kind of do a topical paint job, kind of have to think about the layers that are below and paint them last as if they were the first thing in the on the helmet. So you have to kind of reverse engineer the paint job a little bit, and randomized it, but she'll still had to kind of make it look as close to the way that the paint strokes and brush strokes looked on the real one, and then have it gradually fade back out into the normal paint job. And then that's the same way on the other side. Had to do the same kind of thing over here. You can see the black hand-painted brush strokes and speckling up near the eyes and so forth. The bridge of the nose was noticeably darker and more worn, dirtier than the rest of the face on the film. And then there is a little patch up here in the top corner where the nose pieces are, you can see, well, let's see if I can point that out, right here. It looks, let me see if I can get a static of it. I'm probably making you all dizzy with holding this thing. But when he's talking to Leia and interrogating her, and they give a close-up shot, you can see a little speck of damage or a little dab area, and it looked like a squared pattern of some kind, like maybe they were trying to just dab some color there, but it was hard to tell what it was. So I just kind of made two little square patterns and a little one right above it as it looked, and tried to get it to look like it looks. So little details, they go a long way, hopefully. The lower grill wasn't much to that. That was just the way it was. I didn't really mess with it. I gave it a little brush over with some aluminum just to make it look like it's just not plain color. So down here on the neck, again, all of this gunmetal was hand painted using a 1/2-inch size brush, which is all I had at the time, and trying to get continuous downward strokes, without looking like I was starting and stopping. Was kind of a challenge to get that painted, but I think it turned out pretty well. But you can see very clearly some of the black spots down here where the paint had rubbed away from the neck piece on the real helmet, where his chain choker was. It was kind of like an 11th hour thing that I really picked up on that and said, hey, wait a minute. So I went in and just basically kind of, I'm sure there are more little bits and pieces that are there if I really look, but I just took what was really noticeable of that and tried to emulate some worn off spots the way that they looked. I didn't just dab them on, but little details like that, and how the rim of the neck flange, the paint kind of it gets a little silvered, a little roughed up back there. Try to get that down in that way. Then over here, there's more of that detailing. Let's see if I can get the camera to focus on here. Right there, there's some scuffing and speckling under the neck piece that was present in a few shots. I tried to really get in and do something with. And again, the brush strokes of the paint all the way up over the forehead and around the. Now, I mean, nobody ever sees this, but just to make it have a complete look, all the way around. Up to the horseshoe, I didn't paint that, but that's a good representation of where you can see the color differences in the gunmetal that the plastic is molded in, as opposed to the gunmetal I put on it. So that they used the plastic was a pretty dark gunmetal. So sorry about that. iPad was falling. So I did not paint up into the cup. I didn't want to disturb the magnets. But coming down over top of it, you can see a lot of the detail. And of course, I did the black washing on this as well to kind of just give it that filter. And everything turned out to my liking, I have to say. So, yeah, there's that. The inside, I didn't do anything to. I just left it as is. But I did unscrew the visors, or the visor, because it's held in with 5 screws, and that whole assembly pops out. So I certainly did that because I wasn't about to get paint on the lenses. But that's the only thing I did. I did not touch the inside at all. Left it as is. I thought about putting a liner of some kind in here, but why? Why? But the inside is sparse. But if I put it on, I have no problems with anything. With my big melon going in there, it fits fine. I love the And you can really see it with the white wall in the background. I love the amber color that they got on the lenses. They look really good. So, yeah, that's... And this thing is super, super light. If anybody's had one before. Oh, and one last thing. I did enhance the weathering on the other tusk. It was there, but it wasn't quite enough. It needed more weathering. So the other tusk is pretty much nice and chromed. So yeah, I mean, the important part about the paint job on this is the hand painted look with a brush, really, and then the details. It just, and heavy handed on some of the paint too. If you look at the real film, you can see even down in the grills. I painted them, but I didn't really, I didn't go over it that bad. I mean, you can see where I left some lines of some mounds of black paint there, like they had, but I didn't want to do too bad. I just wanted to kind of get that across. So that's the two pieces individually. So let me just pause and take one more minute here, put it together, and just do a kind of a look around it, and then we'll be done. Hold on. Okay, everybody, thanks again for waiting, and let me back up a bit, but here we are. Here's the whole helmet and its completion. And after everything we've discussed and up close views, and the way everything looks, when it all comes together now, you get it. It all makes sense, and it's all there. There is some endearing quality about, or I should say, just something about the A New Hope look that is, other than it just being the first time you see Vader, even in all its messiness, it just has this thing about it. A lot of people say it's got a meaner look than the other ones that we've seen, and it does. Mostly I think because the widow peak comes down a little bit, but other than that, the paint job, the messiness, all comes together to kind of make him look like he's been through it and he doesn't put up with it. With that being said, I'm a noted Empire Strikes Back guy. I mean, that's my favorite. I love everything about it. I love my Empire Vader. That's my favorite Vader. But, which I don't have an Empire Vader yet. Hint, hint. But there's just something, again, the iconic status of A New Hope Vader is undeniable. And I'm happy to have ruined my eFX's collectability by painting it by hand, and I don't care, because it looks the way I want it to look, and I hope others enjoy it as well. So that's that from here, and we will drag another helpless helmet out and expose its secrets at some point. All right, thanks everybody. See you later.